today. I've been dealing with buying a car.
Oh, have you? We're live. We're live. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to HOGARTH'S Global Astrology. Know your planets, know yourself, know your nation, know yourself. The two are interchangeable. Welcome to HoGaLeSh on Wednesday, our inaugural show on a Wednesday. And you know what? Naively, I was thinking, you know what? Maybe it might be slightly less news. Yeah, just slightly. Wrong. So before I dive in, well, I point this way. Well, Lady G's on this side, but really I think it's this side. Yeah, so I'm going to point this way, and then I'll go like that, and that should be good. Sheila, although it looks like it's here to me, but definitely Lena's down under.
And has us in the right order so we can all function.
Yes, that's right. We cannot ever move this sequence.
We can't.
Indeed. We have to keep the same sequence. So, okay. Well, look. So it's April 2nd. Yeah. In fact, it's just tipped over for me into April 3rd because, of course, the show starts at midnight, and of course, it has been declared by a certain Duck Larange as Liberation Day.
Yeah, it's a bad joke, isn't it? It's a bad joke.
Do you know what? I feel like we are in a combination of several TV shows at once, and for me, it's like a combination of and film. It's like Rosemary's Baby meets an episode of Airplane meets The Twilight Zone meets The Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's all of those.
We have to put Jason in that. Jason from Jason in the horror shows, put Jason in the middle of all of that.
It's crazy.
It's just astonishing. So of course, Duck Larange, as he has been, the one who pioneered, the one who really articulated all of this was called Steve Bannon with the flood the zone.
Yeah.
This is just hand grenade the zone. So I've got your questions here, and I've been trying to work through, the questions, and I've got them in an order, but they may not be in the usual order that they're in because I'm still reacting to the tariff thing. So let me just quickly give a little update for those that may not know. Tariff, Trump has announced his tariffs. I was trying to get it all down. The world is reacting. But as of this moment, we've got 20% blanket tariff on Europe, which they are not liking. They've already got a contingency plan, which I'll tell you about. The lowest tariff actually went to the UK, at 10%. Oh, yeah. And we've got some pundits over here going, oh, whoopee-doo. And some people are just like, this is sounding codependent, grow a spine. Yeah. 17% on Israel. South Africa gets 30%. Wow. So obviously... because
it's one of the BRICS.
Yeah. Oh, of course. 30%. India got 20%, 26%. Malaysia 24%. Indonesia 32%. Switzerland 31%. Japan 24%. Cambodia gets 49%. And then if you add, Trump has slapped on an extra 34% on China, which is added to the previous 20%, which makes a 54% tariff on China. Now, the reason why this is so important is because so many goods, as we know, are imported from China, particularly the American economy. So this is effectively a massive tax rise on absolutely everyone.
Yeah, doubling the price of every umbrella and T-shirt and everything.
Right. So if you shop on Temu, imagine what that's going to do. Yeah. If you can even get the goods. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just so you know, so this was announced just before the tariffs. The EU Commission is considering locking America out of trade with it entirely.
Wow.
Did you hear about this?
No. Yeah.
Right.
I read on that today, and that's what I was getting. They're just going to say bye-bye. We're going to trade with others, give them a one-finger salute.
I wonder, he's selling it like liberation, like we're going to now become all our own. That selfish thing. I'm taking my toys and I'm going to my bedroom, right?
Yeah.
However, I really, if there is a time or whatever, I'd like to know if if they have a contingency plan, and if it's going to work out. This has never worked out ever.
No.
Many times a president has tried to do this or whatever, it has never worked out. We have to have trade.
Yeah.
It
should be renamed Isolation Day. That's what it really should be called. Isolation Day.
Cord cutting day.
Indeed. And just to give you another little bit of an update, now this was so that where I said the EU Commission, that was El País, but they're also reporting it on Ukrainian news. What I saw this news news outlet, and then on Reuters, this is even more remarkable in a way. China, Japan, and South Korea are to jointly respond to tariffs.
Yeah.
Now, South Korea said, well, look, this might be a little bit exaggerated because we're just in the talking stages, etc., and all of this kind of stuff. But it doesn't matter. The point is, there has been a lot of historic bad blood between Japan and China.
And Korea.
The fact that they're all going to
Japan invaded Korea.
Yeah, Japan invaded Korea. So there's a lot of animosity there. The fact that they are having these conversations, this is the first kind of face-to-face conversations they've had in 5 years, apparently. So they are also former enemies are now becoming friends. This is how extraordinary it all is. So
yes, and everyone is in their own regional alliances, but avoiding the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And so he has taken away the power of the United States, because if he stumbles forward and goes, oh, well, I'll make it not 24, we'll make it 13%. People are not prepared for this stuff. So they're going, pick up your ball and go home.
Yeah.
And how can it not be? You know, like.
Right, it's just out of self-preservation. So the one for me, though, when I read about the EU, I was like, wow. They're talking about actually excluding American from financial services as well. So it's not just like tires and whiskey and bourbon. They're literally talking about, you know what? Nothing.
Yeah.
The EU is a huge market. Let's not be, you know, it's sometimes, you know, with all the brainwashing and stuff that goes on. They've got a huge population. It's 448 million people. It is worth billions upon billions upon billions of trade. So anyway, it's just like, wow. Shall we start with sorry, go on, Lena.
Yeah, I was just going to say about Peter Navarro, newly out of jail for contempt of Congress, his trade advisor. So he's essential to this whole story.
Yeah.
He keeps saying these are tax cuts for working Americans. They're not tariffs, they're tax cuts for working Americans. There is no connection between these two worlds. You know,
it's just astonishing. It's just sabotage. Like I said, it's all sabotage. I know what they want, and I went into the details on it on HOGARTH'S Financial Astrology, but I know what they want. So shall we go to question number 1? Yeah. All right. So what's that? Craft. Oh, it actually says craft hag. Okay. So
who were you thinking about?
Okay. No, what? That's what it actually says. Literally, like here, it's like it says their name is craft hag. So, will Doge cuts affect the weather services? Example: National Weather Service and NOAA, etc. And then Nick Minx has replied to that question and says, I've seen SpaceX are apparently taking this over. I wonder why that would be. So let's look at that. Let's look at these Doge cuts and NOAA, which of course is one of the main weather agencies in the United States.
Wow. Unbelievable. Is this a 1-card pull?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's open with a 1-card pull. Oh man. You know, I've been shown certain things, you know, like I said, in my meditations with the planets, and it's just like, it's just all coming true. It's just all coming true. Noah.
Oh.
Noah.
It's like building a house on quicksand.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
He has a beautiful idea for a mansion, but he's going to lay it over quicksand, and it's never going to work.
Yeah.
Indeed. And there's a quote here. What's it? Someone there that's given a response. All right. After 3. 1, 2, 3.
Oh,
interesting. So,
you've got the 3 of Pentacles.
Indeed. How do you interpret your card then, Lena?
Well, Chariot, forging on. That's all I'll say about that. So it would be a yes to try and pave the way for SpaceX.
Wow. Sheila, how do you interpret your card?
Mine is heavy burdens. The heavy burdens. It's going to be heavy burdens. It's going to be, if you can look at this light bulb, right? It kind of looks cool. The picture looks sweet. It has a fairy on the end. Can't get out.
Yeah.
Stuck in the light bulb. And the best invention ever, but she can't get out.
Yes.
Wow. Lady G, how do you interpret your card?
Well, they know that it's such an important place, and so there's going to be investigations into what they're doing, because we need to we need to be able to know when hurricanes are coming and floods are coming to prepare. Yeah, they're going to do investigations into this.
Gosh, just bloody bonkers. And Sheila, when I looked at your card, you know what I saw? I saw a bumblebee. Mm-hmm. To me, it looked like I see the fairy wings, but I thought it was a bumblebee. It looked like a bumblebee to me. Yeah, like flying. Like to me, like it. The antennae and the hair, I thought was the legs. I thought it was a big bumblebee in there. Maybe it was the yellow.
Maybe bit. So.
And I've got the 3 of Pentacles. So look, there is going to be an element here of collaboration, negotiation. Look, everyone has to know what the effing weather is. Yes. Even if you're a dictatorship, everyone has to know what the weather is. How can you disband or try to disband something that's going to tell you when hurricanes are coming and tornadoes?
It's bizarre. I mean, it's bizarre. And also farmers, he's really got no idea about agriculture. You're totally weather dependent on what you do and when you do it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. You need to know if hot weather's coming, if there's a drought. It's just the monstrosity of the sabotage, the level of the
and it's also part of the anti-science thing.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's the ongoing investigation and improving our weather, thing. That's going to be all ending. They're just going to function at a bottom level, and no more improvements.
Yeah, and that's how America got great in the first place, was leading in science and innovation and that thing. This killing of science.
Yeah, I mean, they're defunding. They're effectively defunding science. So a lot of scientists are having a lot of I was watching, what is it? The Rest is Politics. And of course, on there, you've got Scaramucci and Katty Kay. And Katty Kay's daughter is a research scientist. All of her funding, she was working on malaria. When they cut USAID, all of her funding was cut. She's now going to be moving to Europe. And she says, well, what choice do I have? All my funding has been cut. I'm a research scientist. So that means all the scientists will start leaving.
Absolutely.
All right.
And so, all the universities in Australia and presumably around the world have got these letters where you're supposed to prove, have you got a Confucius Institute, which most do because China's soft power and everything. That's one. But you've got to prove everything you teach does not deviate from this 2-gender world. right? It's not. It doesn't matter if you're a zoologist or a pharmacy student or a social sciences student. You are not to talk about anything outside of this Handmaid's Tale paradigm to universities.
Yeah, yeah. I know, it's extraordinary, isn't it? Extraordinary. Let me just read a few reactions. So thank you so much, Foggy, for your
Good to see you,
kind
Foggy.
donation. Much appreciated. And then just some reaction to what we're debating here. Kelly Cat says they closed a weather monitoring station an hour from me. We have tornado watch right now.
Oh,
jeez.
I don't know.
why?
Right.
Why?
What will that achieve? It's flabbergasting. ABD Putin figure just seized oligarchs' assets.
Yeah.
Well, we know Putin has a love-hate relationship with his oligarchs. You know, he doesn't like them to get too much power. Joan Jeru says most Americans are not angry at other countries for the steps they are taking to protect themselves. We are angry at the present regime in control of our government. Of course, this must be so frustrating for people, especially for people who didn't vote for this. It's I just read
this entire audience.
We don't blame them for protecting themselves. That we're not ever us like everybody has to protect themselves, and being that our president right now is giving off, the unprotective vibes. We don't blame them. We don't. But we don't blame them.
Exactly. And Del Rio Jones was saying, hi, everyone. I'm so sick of this. I think she meant to say this crap. Please tell me it will end soon. It will end when this regime ends, whenever that is. We have to see what happens, basically, if there's going to be a human intervention or an intervention by nature or the divine at this stage. Right, quick question in from Nick Minks. So she's saying Texas children, I don't know, we have to check this out, maybe you guys will know more in the comments. But she says here, Texas children poisoned after RFK Jr. touts vitamin A as measles treatment. Thing is with vitamin A is you got to be careful with vitamin A, because if you eat too much of it, it can be very poisonous. This is why you're not supposed to eat the livers of carnivores, for example. Not that anyone is going to be eating the liver of a lion, but anyway, never mind. Let me carry on. Hospitals seeing kids suffering with abnormal liver function. Will he be held accountable for deaths caused by the removal of treatments? So we've not done I don't think we've done a reading on RFK, and I think we should have a Shakespeare. Let's have a Shakespeare.
Because the thing with RFK too, it's like he's got these endless abstracted ideas that are nothing to do with real life much. So this is like the Yeti saying use bleach. I hear it works really well for COVID. He's obviously gone out, and because it's a wholesome thing like a vitamin, parents have gone chug-a-lug-a-lug, poisoning their own children.
God, it's just so sad. It's so sad because the measles vaccine works. Yeah, this is tried and tested. It's not experimental. It's not new. Everyone knows this one works, just like the polio vaccine works. Yeah, it's tried and true. It's God. Anyway, let's just read. Let's read on this.
So I think you can have oh, sorry, go on.
I was going to say let's do a full read on this, because we've not really done much RFK stuff, and I just want to see what comes out in your cards, and then let's do a Shakespeare as well.
Can you repeat the question just so I'm clear?
Yeah, sure. So Texas children poisoned after RFK Jr. touts vitamin A as measles treatment. This is coming in from Nick's Minks. Hospitals seeing kids suffering with abnormal liver function. Will he be held accountable for deaths caused by the removal of treatments? So as we know, measles sadly can be a deadly disease for infants. Most kids will be fine, but for some it is deadly. Oh,
Oh, I know.
it's like being on volcano watch. Do you know what I mean?
Isn't it?
It's like being on volcano watch.
All the time.
What will spew out of the volcano next?
Are we doing a
Alright.
full card or a one?
Yeah, let's do a full card because I want to get a bit of a broader scope on RFK and maybe his influence, etc., and just his energy, and then we'll ask Shakespeare. So we're not really read on him. Oh, wow. Interesting. Who's ready to go first?
I could
Yeah,
go.
I can if you like.
Oh, Lady
sorry.
G. Lady G, go for it.
Okay, well, the first thing, the readings about women are going to want to take action and control because of what he's doing. There will be conversations about what's happening with the families, with the children because of this, and what's going on now, the struggle because of their health, what they're doing with it. So the challenge is anchoring in an agreement, people all coming together, because they are just, absolutely devastated mentally because of what's happening. And the extra information, there will be light shed on a tower moment for him. So it looks like he's going to eventually go down.
Wow. Who's ready to go next?
I can.
Go for it, Lena.
So there's a lot of mystery around because, again, he's coming from a non-scientific point of view. He's already feeling defensive because he's basically just been a lazy playboy to some extent. Like he hasn't had to be accountable because he's never run anything. This is what happens with these people, let alone a department as huge as Health and Human Services, right? So the Doge came into this question on JFK because they've just sacked thousands of workers from the Department of Human Services. They're going to go on board here, social media, my Twitter birds. They are confused. Look at the moon and the card of confusion. The parents are confused. Hospitals are confused. No one knows what madness is coming next. They don't know how to act. So the treatment of people is doubly at risk because of all this confusion. I think there'll be a legal case sooner rather than later. Right. And sadly, it's going to take some terrible story to sweep it up, but he will be in legal trouble. And my final card was from the other deck, explosive situation.
Wow.
So I think it's much more volatile than you might think just looking in,
Yeah. Sheila, what do you have?
Well, my cards kind of told me a little bit how he has the world in his hamster wheel. So there's a whole bunch of motivation on his end about the money. I'm trying to figure out, and maybe it's because I'm not a criminal, how do you get money out of touting bad advice for medical out? Maybe somebody explain it to me. But he's figured it out. There's something in there. He claims nurturing. He is projecting the nurturing, right? The future, all of that.
Wow.
However, what happens is, and these are the two cards what happens is his anxiety and his crap that comes out of his mouth is just literal poison. He poisoned the children, poisoned the mouth, poisoned everything. And I think that it's a missed opportunity for the strategy to hold him. I think it'll take these parents a lot longer to understand what happened because they're Republicans.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like 10 years down the road. Oh, we should have sued. Well, duh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Unless somebody really gives them some good advice and they listen, I think their own missed opportunity to hold this man accountable.
Yeah.
Wow. Gosh. Well, I pulled my cards, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 major arcana that came out. Yeah, 4 major arcana. I mean, I'll just do a quick click up here in regards to NOAA, where we were talking about Cecilia. Cecilia says, we live in Oklahoma. Thank you so much for your donation. We live in Oklahoma, the start of the tornado season. What the F? Yeah, literally. It's like, what? You know, Tatty Gem, thank you so much for your donation. £10 each to get yourself an ice cream or some booze, whichever makes you happy. Oh my God.
Very thoughtful.
I think we're all needing the booze. I'm needing some friggin' bourbon, you know. it won't be I don't think it will be from one of the red states, but anyway.
No, you'll have to move to whiskey. Real whiskey.
Exactly. Indeed. Have you seen the video of MAGA farmer raving, nearly crying because he lost his farm?
Yes.
Actually, I shared that video. Very sad. It was too busy to research. Need to catch critical thinking, starting in grades, teach critical thinking. I actually showed that video last on Saturday. And Sandy, thank you so much for your contribution as well. All right. What have I got? This is really interesting. So here, straight off the bat, we get the wheel. Oh, look. It's reversed. I just noticed.
I've never seen that. Not never, but for years.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So here's the wheel. So we got the Wheel of Fortune here. Of course, the Wheel of Fortune talks about coming into a time of fate and destiny. But with the Wheel of Fortune, it's kind of a bit out of your control. However, when the card is reversed, when it's the right way up. Yeah. Now, remember, I straighten out all my cards. So I very rarely get reversals now. So when they do, it's literally spirit turning it the other way. When the card is the right way up, you see here the Sphinx is at the top and the demon is at the bottom. Even though the situation is not fully in control, luck is more likely on your side. However, when it's reversed, the demon is on the top, which means bad luck is more likely. So the Wheel of Fortune is turning for him, and people are going to start reassessing, I think, how they feel about RFK. Why is that? This is a universally positive card, unless it's in the obstacle position. Yeah, the sun. When the sun turns up in the obstacle position, it's like getting temperance in the obstacle position. It's not good. What it means is there is illumination and enlightenment, or the burning heat of attention comes onto something. So you see, his luck is changing. People are going to start paying attention, because guess what? If you start losing your kids because they died of measles, which is a preventable disease, or they've died because they've overdosed their child on vitamin A and they've got liver or impaired liver damage, like, you cannot live for long without your liver. Yeah. Many of the other things.
Also, blindness can be a repercussion of it.
Exactly. I like Sheila. I get the World card as well. Now we know that the World card deals with endings and beginnings, beginnings and endings. But I think this is a full cycle coming to an end. I think when the world sees things like all sorts of random, previously forgotten diseases coming back to America, it's going to change the global perspective. But this is also showing as well that it's this cycle that's kind of peaking. Yeah. If we look here, we get the Queen of Cups. So of course, this can, of course, talk about mothers, caregivers, etc. There can be that element there. But there is also, this can also talk about RFK. He's keeping his powder dry on something. Yeah. Some secrets in regards to what? Look, partnership. Yeah. So it's who he's collaborated with. He's had negotiations with the Trump administration. Of course he had. He tried to run, you know, Democrat, and then blah, blah, blah. We all know what happened afterwards. So I was like, I need a clarifier on this. And my clarifier on this new partnership he has with the GOP and Dr. Ranch. Tower.
Our moment. We both
you got the tower as well, didn't you, Lady G? So, and then Sheila and I got the world. So, not looking good for him. That's what I would say. It's just. Shall we see what Shakespeare thinks of?
I would love to know what Shakespeare thinks of.
Yeah, I'm very curious. So I think Lena was the last one. So Sheila, I think it's because I'm going to try and keep it going like this.
Okay.
So Sheila, I think it's your turn. Let's see what the Bard thinks of RFK. Oh God, what a sad world we're in. Anyway.
I always feel like I need to give Hogarth a hug after learning everything that happens in America. I'm like, come here.
It's so diabolical, honestly. It's like something out of Game of Thrones, but without the sophistication.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
The writers aren't as good in this one.
Stop.
Oh, wait, this just opened up in the middle page, so which has got nothing on it. 1 second, let's.
So RFK is empty on the inside. I can go with that.
All right, the worm probably had it. Yeah, I'm ready to go. Tell me when to stop.
First answer, empty. Okay, cool. Go on. Stop.
Oh, how interesting. Okay, so this is from Henry IV, Part 1, and this is about Shakespeare talking about RFK. It says, "There's neither honesty, manhood, not good fellowship in thee."
Oh, ouch!
How interesting. And then it says here, and then the next page is Hamlet. It said, "Are you like the painting of a sorrow, a face without a heart?"
It's amazing. Thank you to the Bard.
It kind of goes with the empty page.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? There's something
for
wrong.
Substance, but it's not there.
Yeah. The Bard is saying he's empty. There's something wrong there. And I remember hearing this story, apparently one of his family members shared, because, you know, he likes to keep falcons. I love birds of prey, but he likes to keep falcons. And apparently he likes to blend the mice and stuff live. Yeah, you know, before he feeds them. So there's something there. So I think something is broken in him. And it's not to excuse everything, but I think the traumas of those assassinations and, you know, all of the stuff, and that worm in the brain. Do you know what I mean? Something's not right in his heart, and I think the
mescal brain. It is a thing. Yeah.
You know, even
we've never had that.
Zookeepers, when they blend it up for their falcons, the zookeepers, they don't do it with real mice. They do it with frozen mice because caring, you know, for life.
Yeah.
Sorry, one more thing.
Anyway.
Bell Book and Candle in the comments says 10,000 more today, bringing it to a total of 30,000. Can you let us know what that is? Bell Book and Candle. Is it measles or TB, or can you please?
If you could clarify that. Yeah, it seems like I'm guessing because we're talking about the measles, it must be that. But let's see. What was it? 20,000 more today? Is that what they said?
It's 30,000 now, but we need to know what it is.
Yeah. So in the comment, if you could just clarify that bit for us. Leslie, thank you so much for your donation. And Edie, so generous. Thank you so much. Oh, right. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on to the next question. This one here is, we can do a one card pull on this, and this is coming from KMY. Will we eventually make peace with dear Canada again, or is it forever changed? Yeah, quite a simple question.
Yeah.
Well, I did get just for the United States, there's been 500 confirmed measles cases across 21 states.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Good grief.
Yeah.
Okay, what was it?
One card?
Are we doing one?
Yeah, one card. We'll do one card pull. And KMY says, will we eventually make peace with dear Canada again, or is it forever changed? One card pull. All right. All right, after 3. 1, 2, 3.
Oh.
Fascinating. All right, Lena, how do you interpret your card?
Well, you just spoke at length about the Wheel of Fortune, and it is karma and fate and all those things in their own time. So the answer is not never, but in their own time, the universe will sort this out. However, this is not something that happens quickly, the Wheel of Time, in general terms, And I think there needs to be a lot of backpedaling. Canadians are fully aware it's not you, the American people, driving this, but it's so offensive and so deep that it will take time.
Yeah. Sheila, how do you interpret your card?
Well, what I received was the Queen of Wands, and then this deck is Confident and Magic. So my first impression of this is that the Canadian people understand probably more than any of us understand. It is Trump that needs to go, not America, not all the people in America. So I think they understand that. I just think that they're going to let time go, but they're not going to give up. They're going to fight the Queen of Wands like, come on, bring it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not going to. So.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Lady
G, how do you interpret your card?
Well, we have the Sun card, but this is not the naked child. This is dressed, and he's got his helmet
Looks like
on.
a bandit.
So it's going to be a while, They're looking at the hurt, and they're looking at going forward, what they need to do to protect themselves. And again, this is one that's growing up. So yes, the sun's going to shine again, but it is going to take time.
Yeah. That kid looks like quite a tough bandit. Looks like he knows how to use some weaponry. Do you know what I mean? It's not that.
He's
and that red.
He's determined. Absolutely, he's determined.
Yeah, it's an interesting card for sure.
Very interesting, especially with that red scarf as well, which is that warlike vibe. So if we look here, look, it's dicey, folks. Look, it's dicey. Yeah, 2 of Pentacles juggling up. They're weighing up everything. This as well, of course, can also be talking about finances too, the economy. We have Mark Carney, who is the current leader. Looks likely that he will stay as prime minister, depending how the elections go. But I'll be very surprised if the right side of the party is going to win. And besides, they've all joined in as well with everyone else as well, because they're equally offended too. And of course, Trump has completely shot their goose anyway, shattered their chances really of realistically kind of winning. So this is also showing economic factors are here. Mark Carney used to be the governor of the Bank of England. And Mark Carney, Sakir Starmer and the King were all together talking. So look, economically, Canada is looking elsewhere. They might come back to America in the end, but it's going to be a while. Yeah, it's going to be a while.
And I think what we're going to see after all this, all the markets are going to dive, et cetera, Trump, apparently, the buzz for Trump, this should not surprise any of us. This was an insider granted on anonymity to speak to a journalist, said, he loves the power leading into the tariffs of every country in the world ringing him, basically begging for exemptions from the tariffs. And he's been buzzing his little egomaniacal brain on that. So people have gone, literally begging, and he has just put all these in. So they're not going to go back a second time. So no.
Yeah.
Just no.
It's the thrill, because this is the thing, and this is the sad thing, the tragic reality. Like I said, Saturn, the reality check. Trump is, at his core, he is a malignant narcissist. Yeah, so he takes pleasure in having a victim. There must always, when it comes to all of this stuff, there always has to be a victim. There always has to be a whipping boy. There always has to be a fall guy, as Elon is finding out. Because if Elon hasn't recognized it yet, dude, you are the fall guy. It's your price that's tanking. Yeah, Trump can outlast you. Yeah. Duck L'Orange can outlast you, and then he puts it all on your back and goes, oh well, it wasn't me doing that Doge anyway. Next, he gets a thrill out of people coming to him, almost begging for their life. Oh please, great king, spare me in your infinite wisdom. Yeah, and he can sit there like King Solomon, all puffed up. Yeah, for him, this is delicious. This is delectable treats. These are chocolate truffles as each country comes, and he's like, which one is going to squeal the loudest? Do you know what I mean?
I know, it's hideous.
Yes, and it's
but that is, and it put a lot of things in perspective for me, because I'm thinking, what is he getting up? That is a thing. The shocks are going to come, because he is going to backpedal on however many of them. He'll have to, because the American market will collapse. And I'm waiting for the first one. I think it'll be Canada, but followed by others to say, no, don't worry. We've moved on. You can drop the tariffs. You can do what you like, but we're over here now.
He's only teaching them not to depend on us. And when he's teaching them not to depend on us, we do not have the infrastructure or the money to rebuild and to supply our country with everything that they want and or need.
Underpants or tractors, because the factories aren't there.
Everything. So it's like he's willing to tank everybody, the whole country and all that. Everybody suffer for quite some time. For how long? How long is the suffering going to last? What's his contingency plan? Is he going to give every single person to build a new? Is that how he's going to control the country? Is he going to give them all the money to build all the factories so that he can have all of the money and all of the control?
Well, the contingency plan, which is what I spoke about on my financial channel, is child labor. That's what it is. You know, Florida is passing, they've not passed it yet, but is moving through the bowels of the House to change the child labor laws so that 14-year-olds can actually now work in the hours in which they're protected, which is from 11:30 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. They're not allowed to work. Guess what? Why? Because they're going to be sleeping. Yeah, they should be asleep, growing, and whatnot. So they are proposing to pass that into legislation, because so many people have either been deported by ICE, or they're in El Salvador, or they've left quite rightly of their own free will. So they're like, oh, shoot, who's going to do this work? Oh, I know, children. Yeah,
this work is all night with no meal breaks. They've even written no meal breaks into it. What? This medieval mindset.
It's unspeakable.
Is he going to force all the parents to send their children? How is he going to get them there?
Well, it's going to be black and brown children, right, who will be co-opted into this. You're not going to see many white faces working the fields at 2 a.m.
Well, not just that. It's anyone who is not in the top 1%. But you know how they're going to do it? Because, of course, they're cutting what? Medicaid. Yeah. 880 billion is going to be cut by Medicaid. Remember, there were 10 traitors that went there and got that through through the Senate. I'm sorry, that's what it is.
Yep.
So what I learned the other day is that there are up to 40%, I think it's 40% of the recipients of Medicaid are also children and their mothers. So of course, if Medicaid is cut and your child is able-bodied or not, what choice do they have? If your parents are disabled and your child already looking after or supporting a parent, then you don't have any choice. What's the logical choice? You have to go and work in the factory.
Yeah.
And that's why they got rid of the Department of Education, because now it can go to a state level, which means if you're in a red state, it's all going to be you and the Bible. You know, Jesus says that's going to be your education, if you even get that. And then you'll be working in the fields or the factory or wherever they need the labor, which they have effectively deported. It will start in Florida, and then where else will it go?
I just don't think it's getting. Every time I'm hearing this, I don't see it getting that far. I just don't. There's a fight on. I don't see it getting that far. But
I hope not.
Me too.
I know. It's just when you learn about this stuff, you're just like, oh my God. Right, let's move on. Otherwise, we'll just die of depression. Not that the next question, but anyway. So Auntie D has asked this. This is a bit of a long one, but I'll just read it out. Thank you so much for everything, she says. Really, everything. I'd like to request a reading on what takes out the pseudo-Christian influencer televangelist grifter base of the MAGA movement, and when-ish they've put anything, and they put in brackets, anything we sinners might do to hasten some revelation action would also be appreciated. They are the pus sac of the extreme right-wing pimple. If they don't get extracted, the movement will have a base to regrow from, and they're manipulating many of my friends, family, and community members. And then she's put in the brackets, there are new age versions as well, but they feed off the same juice. So the question is essentially, what is going to happen with the Christian influencer televangelist grifters who are promoting all of this MAGA stuff?
Oh my God.
Trying to think if we should do, let's see, how much time do we have? Let's make it a one card pull, because there's a question on Marine Le Pen I'd like to get in as well.
Oh yes.
All right. Televangelists.
Well, everybody's pulling their cards. There is Matthew 19:24 in the King James Version that says, and again I say unto you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of God. So
classic.
There's that.
Yes.
Oh, we'll see. All right, after 3. 1, 2, 3.
Oh,
right. So, Lena, how do you interpret your card on the televangelists?
Well, I don't think it'll stop anytime soon, because it's deeply rooted, the theft. But as I would like to think, it's when they feel the theft themselves in the form of higher prices everywhere, feeling ripped off by the Yeti, they will start to leave the tent. But not at the moment, they're heavily embedded.
Yeah. Sheila, how do you interpret your card?
You know, my card came out with an incredibly powerful Ace of Swords one, where it is literally the breakthrough in awareness. Now, have we seen evidence of them breaking through and getting some awareness? No, we have not. But of course, we're not in charge of that breakthrough. Something is going to happen. And my card indicates that there's going to be a breakthrough in awareness of the people who think these people are right. Something's going to happen. And I would love to know what happened. I don't have a time frame, but it does sound like it's possible.
Right, great. Lady G, how do you interpret your card?
Mine has to do with past, and so many of these scammers are also pedophiles.
Yeah,
I think a
yeah.
lot more of this is going to come out of, how they've been abusing children behind the scenes, and that's going to kind of, break that apart.
Yeah, yeah. And with my card here, this is quite interesting because here it is. We have the Queen of Swords, and this is a card that normally talks about rationale, being sensible, logical decisions, also associated with accounting. But it's an astute card. So what this says to me is, I think in a way maybe it's echoing a bit as well of the swords that Lena got. I think with these economic announcements, yeah, which are inherently inflationary, irrespective of what Duck Larange says, that's what they are. It takes years to build these factories and stuff. So obviously all the prices are going to go up. And I think that is part of this Saturnian reality check as well. When we really start seeing those prices creep up, that might start waking up a few people into a bit of sanity. But I wish we all wish that it just didn't pan out the way that it did. But there we are.
I think something to be perversely optimistic about. Thank God he's gone for these tariffs that are global, huge, because if he hadn't, if he just piggybacked on Biden's economy and introduced all these fascist laws and restrictions, he would have got away with it over 4 years. People wouldn't have questioned it. And now the tariffs are going to wreck the economy, and that's what runs the American mindset, not just the economy. So we've got to pray that the tariffs do the job, which is destroying his ability to use that argument. I'm a great businessman,
My heart goes out to the single parents who are just struggling.
It's going to suffer.
It is going to absolutely be horrendous, and we're all going to have to start, gardening and canning again. You know what I mean? It's going to be labor. Co-ops. They're not going to survive. Red states are the worst. The red states red states are already impoverished. So if they're going to get any worse than that, it's literally life or death for them.
Right.
It doesn't.
And that's what I'm worried about, because it's like I said, with this reality check. Okay, they get the reality check, but the consequences, they are so dire. Do you know what I mean? And the thing is, the way it's been targeted, it's the red states that are going to suffer the most. The ones that voted for him are going to suffer the most.
And a viewer was
sorry,
saying,
Lena, you're going to say
it's all right. He's a progressive Christian, and they do food banks. So their line at the food bank, I think this is in Carolina or somewhere, used to be regularly about 100 or so people on that day. They're now up to 900 on that day. And this is the same time his 660 million's been cut from food banks.
Exactly. What happens when the food banks could run out of food?
Yeah.
Right. You see what they're doing? Yeah. You see what they're doing? They're creating desperation. So then it's going to be like, you're going to have to send you're going to have to send your kid to child labor. Do you see? Like it's just like when you follow.
But also they want you to have more kids, even if you can't feed them. Have more
because then it's more for the labor force to make up for what they've deported. It's just like it. Right, let me just say some thank yous. Thank you so much, Christopher. Thank you so much, Karen. Karen again, and thank you so much, Heather Lum. We're going to go to France. Yeah, briefly, we're going to go to France, and then we'll come back and let's make this a one card pull. And this is coming from Nick Mintz, because I want to try and squeeze in one more about the Panama Canal. So Nick Mintz has said, France did what the US failed to do and have convicted Marine Le Pen. Not that they were trying to convict Marine Le Pen, but I mean, she means politically, the political equivalent. So France did what the US failed to do and have convicted Marine Le Pen. And just to add on to that, from what I understand, she's been banned from politically campaigning for 5 years over corruption or something like that, from what I understand. Will the far right benefit from this, or will this see the start of others being held accountable globally? Yeah. So really, what does this do for the far right movement? Let's read on that.
Yeah.
Oh, and we've got 2,926 of you joining
Thanks
us
for
right now.
turning up on the new time, guys. That's
Thanks,
awesome.
guys. Much appreciated.
So if Americans aren't familiar, she's the daughter of an ultra far right father who was in politics for years. She took over, and now she's embezzled. Well, not allegedly. She's been charged 300,000 euros or something.
Oh. Let's see, Marine Le Pen. Okay, so one card, Paul. And she's rejuvenated very much her father's brand. All right, after 3. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, okay.
All right. Lena, how do you interpret your card?
Well, as it says, shadow ruler. And it looks a bit like Marine Le Pen 40 years ago.
Spooky.
Okay, so I would say from that, she'll put in the new 29-year-old pretty poster boy for the far right, because he's very handsome and, let's face it, people are shallow. And she'll be the shadow ruler of him, behind the scenes, the power behind the scenes.
Just what I thought. Sheila, how do you interpret your card?
Well, mine's the five of Pentacles, right? And the words at the bottom are isolated and alone.
Oh.
So I think that kind of stands by itself, where if I don't think they're going to benefit, I think they're going to feel isolated and alone. This is what's going to happen to them. So
with the far right movement. Lady G, how do you interpret your card?
Well, mine's a little difficult to interpret, but it's about the past and the children. I think it's something they're going to try to give to her later, try to reinvigorate something.
Wouldn't surprise me. And Hogarth. Oh,
look at this. I mean, this is pretty much self-explanatory, isn't it? We get the 6 of Swords. 7 of Swords. The 7 of Swords showing up here. The 6, of course, is the one in the boat. 7 of Swords here. So look, this can talk about like literally theft, crime, or embezzlement, which is the case for Marine Le Pen, in which case she's been caught in this. But let's not forget, this card doesn't just deal with theft, it's also the theft from the camp. It weakens the camp. So there are a lot of people on the far right who have been weakened, especially with the kiss of death endorsement from the likes of Elon Musk. You remember he came out for the AfD in Germany and definitely affected them. I think if he'd shut his mouth, she probably would have done even better, actually, to be honest. Giorgia Meloni has also been sort of affected, tainted by association. So it's certainly not strengthened the cause. It's not strengthened the cause, because whenever you hold any leader accountable, it makes all the leaders shudder. So I think it's not going to get rid of the far right. They're still going to be there, but it's not pushed their cause further ahead. That's what I would argue. With that, all right, let's do. I was going to ask one on the Panama Canal, but there's one I think is more pertinent, which I think would be good to close on. And again, Nick Minks, it says, why are the red state voters still supporting the regime? So the last time I checked, it was 43% of people still support this BS. So why are red state voters still supporting the regime, or were Florida votes rigged? Is it a possibility? I don't think that's part of it. Is like, let's ask, why are the red states still largely supporting this?
Is this a one card or a full?
Yeah,
Let's do a one card pull. Because the time has
the red states
still they support the red states supporting this? Oh God. I've got my own ideas, but I want to see what your cards come up with, ladies. All right. After 3. You ready, Lena?
Yeah.
All right. So 1, 2, 3.
Oh, okay. Well, this was my Biden card for 4 years. So I'm going to say they stay with him for all their own tribal reasons, but also because he's not Biden and we've got to own the libs and we'll never go there. Okay. It's defining themselves by what they won't do.
Yeah. Sheila, how do you interpret your card?
Mine, the words on there says concrete ideas.
Very concrete.
Yeah, their mind is solidified.
Yeah.
And nothing else gets in anymore.
No.
And so they're like robots. Got to go with him. Got to go. I cannot wait for the day that we can have a urinal on the ground and they will not have their poison to take every day. Make sense?
Yeah,
not quite, but I like the idea.
Indeed.
His grave. Listen on his grave. The day that he is gone, I cannot wait until that daily dose of poison is cut off from their minds. I can't, because I would love to watch and see what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen, freak outs, whatever. I don't know, but their daily dose of poison will, be gone.
Indeed. Lady G, how do you interpret your card?
Well, it's because of what they think they're being offered. Now, we still have these Magatonians out there saying that $5,000 check is coming from Doge. And we still have that one of his, prophets out there still putting out this crap every day about how fabulous he is. He's the second coming. And they still believe it. They still believe they're getting offered something.
Gosh, it's just, and when you see the knight, because we know that the shadow of that knight is the false offer, the one that is the false romantic, it's the card of seduction. It really can be a card of seduction. It shows they're still seduced. Even with all of the tumult and the chaos, they're still seduced by it all. But look where this is going to end, folks. Calamity. The tower. It's going to end in calamity. It cannot work. It just cannot work. It's going to end in. It's just going to end in ruin. And it reminds me of this quote that I once saw, and I thought, wow. And I think this can be like the closing thoughts, as I suppose. But this quote that I read, it said, Americans only learn from catastrophe. This tower,
that was Truman, I think.
But never experience. And it was actually Teddy Roosevelt.
Oh, Teddy Roosevelt.
It was actually,
Americans
I checked.
don't learn by
Teddy
experience,
Roosevelt.
only catastrophe.
And I just look at that tower and I just think that's the only thing that's going to break them through is this shock. The only thing that's going to break through this concrete mind is the shock of the tower. What else will work? But
their favorite word is what if.
Yeah.
That's their favorite argument. Well, what if that happened? What if he takes our guns? What if this happens? And that's how they live their life, is in what if.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
But
But
it's not
Saturn,
rational stuff.
exactly. But Saturn, the planet of reality, has begun his transit through the sign of illusions and delusions. Yeah. And that's what it's going to be. We're going to see this unfolding reality check. It's already happening, to be honest.
Yes.
But as it goes on, Saturn will just reveal more and more and more. And it's just going to reach the point where it's just, it cannot be denied anymore, and even they will have to accept it. And with that Tower outcome, there you go. We see, we've shared the news how the world is responding. Canada has basically completely boycotted America. Flights between America and Canada are now down by 70%. All the bookings are being cancelled. Florida spring break. I was watching a YouTuber who's showing a video of Florida spring break.
Empty streets.
Empty streets, and that's yet
And Las
to go
Vegas. Las Vegas
Oh,
too,
really?
because people who come from all over the world to the
They do.
States, usually they'll go to X number of places, including Las Vegas. Well, they're not coming, and Americans can't afford to go on holiday.
Yeah.
So Las Vegas is down massively.
Well, they don't want to get here and then get deported or sent off
Exactly.
to, you know, that's a chance that they know that that's a reality, because ISIS is not taking precautions. They're not doing what they're supposed to do. They're not vetting them. So they're just taking victims upon victims off to wherever.
And that has resulted in travel warnings. Most countries have issued travel warnings not to go to the United States of America.
Yep.
That's extraordinary.
And I'll tell you something remarkable. I learned this story just the other day. A Welsh woman hiker, so female Welsh woman hiker, she'd just been hiking through the Rockies and stuff, was on her way home.
Remember this.
She got detained by the authorities for 16 days, and they put her in chains and leg irons.
Mm.
A single Welsh woman hiking.
I know.
She was going
And
home.
these are the stories.
Germans being locked up, French being turned away at the. This is like, you can imagine for especially someone, you know, I've grown up in Europe and stuff like that. You know, we never had to end. This never even entered our heads. This kind of thing, being detained. Like this German guy was detained for almost 3 weeks, and his girlfriend as well. So that's what Germans are like. We're not even going. French are like, no,
No,
We
you
don't
know.
blame them.
Australians
And maybe
are
these
cancelling.
tourists in these red states, because a lot of them, like in you know, Mount Rushmore, and you know, Utah has the Moab Bat. You know, a lot of these red states have a lot of tourism, which keeps them afloat. I mean, Colorado is a great big huge tourist spot as well, and I'm not seeing like I normally see the springtime buck up and everybody hits, you know, especially during spring break, we usually get an influx, and we just didn't.
Yeah.
And
And this is the only thing that's going to move the dial in the end.
Yeah.
The wealthy businesses are going to lose money with this. Small businesses that just struggle, you know, they only make their money 4 months of the year or whatever, are struggling. And people on the ground struggling. Everyone
it hurts
is
everyone.
not having fun.
Hurts everyone, but we must leave it there. We got just over 3,000 people tonight.
That is so
thank you
cool,
so
guys.
much,
So this is
everyone.
our
Thank you
new
so
slot.
much.
I was hacked yesterday, so now I have to drop everything and go to the bank and replace all my cards.
Bless. Oh, I'm sorry about sorry about that.
Yeah.
Bless you. That's
I've been there with my
Well, I had to do it 6 weeks ago. It was a freaky thing. Nothing for decades, and then 2 in 6 weeks.
Oh.
Wow.
Gotta go, guys.
Yep.
Yes. Right, folks, we
Ciao.
will catch you. You'll see us back next Wednesday. So thank you so much for joining us. Yes, over 3,000 of you. Much appreciated. Thank you for all your donations. Don't, of course, forget to like and subscribe, because like this show, it is free. So thank you so much. And let's just see what happens. Hopefully we'll be able to bring you some good news. I hope. Yeah. But anyway, we will leave it there
The
for now.
Supreme
folks.
Justice won. I mean, that is some really good.
Yes,
Great.
yes,
Go Wisconsin.
exactly. Go Wisconsin. Go Wisconsin. All right.
Yep.
Big love, everyone. Bye for now.